Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds, and so you're probably wondering a little bit more about these oxalic acid sponges. So first of all, we're going to be rotating them around. I'm going to answer some questions in this video. I've gotten a lot of questions regarding the Randy Oliver sponges. So first of all, the video we just released had the recipe at the end of it. I forgot to mention that in the video, so I apologize. I'm going to leave a link down to that below. And then you can just look at the very end of the video and it just has it all written out, very easy. So the sponges themselves absorb 100 grams of material. So 50 grams of that is oxalic acid to hydrate, 50 grams is vegetable glycerin. And that is one sponge right there. Obviously these came from two different sponges, but that's the equivalent of one sponge. We cut all of them in half, and there's been a lot of questions regarding cutting them into strips and placement. So the reason they're up on top is because all of the brood in this colony is up top. They're on their 5th frame of brood in this colony. I will be rotating this box very soon. We have a warm spell coming up. I'll be popping this box, dropping it to the bottom, and then rotating that one up. And then those pads will be where they ideally should be, and that is in between two brood chambers. If you're running a single box, then it would be best to have a feeder shim or a shim of some sort. So my lids do. There's the shim right there. It's a 1/2 inch shim. I've often wondered though if I should have gone with the 3/4 inch shim. The reason it's there is to give a little bit more head space, and you can feed pollen patties and put these type of strips, and it just gives you more room for Apiguard treatments and various things like that. I really do like having that extra lip, and yeah, I do get a little bit more burr comb, but really only during the times of the year where bees are drawing comb, so during the honey flow. But if I leave enough drawn combs on top, or if I put foundation up there, they'll focus on that first before they burr up the lid, and it's not too big of a deal. We'll scrape it a couple times a year, and we'll just melt that beeswax down and use it for something like waxing frames, or selling beeswax blocks to somebody. Now, as far as cutting them up into strips, obviously surface area is important. The reason Randy Oliver does a lot of the things that he does is to make something that is useful to the bee industry. That's one of the reasons why Randy Oliver is so great, is because he really focuses on immediate needs. A lot of the researchers I see out there, and maybe it's not always their fault, maybe it's just what they have to do, but they're focusing on things that really just don't matter in the grand scheme of things, as far as we need solutions now on some very important issues. And so Randy's always focused on that. One of the things is commercial beekeeping. Randy's a commercial beekeeper, and his sons are, and so you need something that's fast and effective, and these sponges can be that. So yes, if you cut them up into thinner strips and hang them down like Apivar in between the frames, there's probably going to be more contact, and there's probably going to be more varroa mites killed, but that also takes a lot more time to deal with. Now, how long do you keep these on, Kamon? I got that question quite a bit, and that should have been the last video. So I leave them on for at least 70 days. I know guys who've left them on quite a bit longer. And so let's talk about realistic expectations here. So when it comes to these oxalic acid pads, I got to rest my arm a little bit. They're good, and I think they're very useful, and I would like to see them legalized throughout the United States, but they're not right now in every state. But we also can't view them as a silver bullet. We're bad about this in beekeeping. A new product comes along, oh, it's the greatest thing ever, and beekeepers don't test most times the efficacy of a treatment and see how well it's working. So, nuts and bolts, I've tested this out multiple times. It is a good supplemental treatment to your already existing treatment regime. If you're doing alcohol washes and you know what's happening, then maybe you can dial back your treatment regime. But if you're just blindly throwing them on and expecting it to replace Apiguard or your formic acid treatments or whatever it is you're using, I would not do that. I would not do that at all. The commercial guys that I've talked to, I mean, these guys are running 4,000 hives, 2,000 hives, 10,000 hives. They're way better beekeepers than I am, and have tested them to the extreme, have found that they work best or again, using it with your occurring treatment protocol. So if you're treating 3 times a year, put these in between, because what happens is if you apply these, like say in summer, like July and August and part of September, and then you come through and then you use your cleanup treatment before your bees go into fall, your treatments are not having to kill so much. And that's what I found with these things is, you know, you'll get some knockback. Instead of your mite population continuing like this, like it naturally does, they're doubling every like brood cycle, just taking off. Instead of going up like this, the mite population is going like this right here. And so they're still going up, but instead of having to kill maybe 2,000 mites to clean up to go into winter, you're only having to kill 1,000 or 1,200 mites. And the impacts to your bees are significantly lower. And you're also asking a lot less out of your treatment. I've tested a lot of products, and I'm going to be releasing more of that information soon. But we didn't find over the last 2 years that any of the treatments that we used, whether it was Formic, Apiguard, Apifar, Oxalic acid, none of them got us 90% kill. None of them on average. So that's something that I have seen very consistently throughout my operation. It's very seldom that we can get an average of 90% or greater all the time. And so maybe we shouldn't be expecting that. Maybe we should be expecting 80%. So if you're only having to clean up a 1% infestation and you get an 80% kill, well, your bees are really in good shape going into winter, very clean. But if you didn't do anything to control them throughout summer, a lot of beekeepers are waiting to do their first treatment of the year in like August or September even. And you're not combating a 1% infestation on average in your yard. You're combating sometimes 4% and 5%. And so if your treatment only gets you 80%, hopefully it gets you that or more, well then you still have a lot of mites that need to be cleaned up. And it's not that you'll lose your bees, but that's where you run into these little weak colonies that come out of winter that have had too many mite holes poked into them, and also some virus effects as well. And so you're running into these little clusters coming out of winter, and they're struggling. Instead of having 7 and 8 and 9 frame clusters coming out of winter, you're getting these little guys that really take a lot of work to get them to production size. So I really think these oxalic acid sponges show a lot of promise, but we need to be realistic with them. Randy Oliver's constantly trying different delivery methods, and they get better each time. And so it's an exciting thing. The cost effectiveness of these things can't be overstated. They're also extremely natural. I mean, vegetable glycerin, oxalic acid, and sponges that are made from cellulose trees and cotton. Very natural. They start breaking down in the soil within a couple weeks. So I have no problem with using this. I just think that we need to be realistic with this treatment. So they're very easy to make. Just be careful when you're making them if you are legal to do so. And we are going to be talking more about these in the future and testing them out as well. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any more questions about oxalic acid extended release, I will answer those as best I can in the comments. I'm going to also leave some details to Randy's site below and more. So thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time.